New at 6, gun stores are fighting back after a lawsuit accusing them of helping Mexican cartels acquire weapons.
We first told you about the lawsuit last night accusing 5 stores in Arizona of selling guns that were for criminals across the border. Tonight, our Ashley Holden digs deeper into the lawsuit, talking with both sides in this case.
Now, Arizona has become the epicenter of illicit trafficking of firearms.
The principal legal advisor for Mexico's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Alejandro Solorio, says his country is now fighting for accountability from the gun industry. In a newly filed lawsuit in U.S. federal court, Mexico now going after 5 gun stores here in Arizona. One of those in Phoenix.
In this case, it was very important to highlight those that repeatedly and systematically facilitate the illicit trafficking of firearms into Mexico.
The lawsuit alleges that the stores supply significant numbers of guns to the criminal market in Mexico, and that the stores know that they engage in multiple sales, repeat sales, and straw sales, which is when someone else buys a firearm for a person who can't buy a gun or doesn't want to be associated with the purchase. Court documents claim cartels essentially go shopping for their weapons of war at these stores.
These companies should know their guns are in the hands of criminals in Mexico, wreaking havoc in our country.
That lawsuit names Ammo AZ here in Phoenix, so we came here to the store to get the owner's side of the story.
It's a political move, so I think what he's looking for a win, and I think by going after small mom and pop gun stores like myself, I think he thinks we're just going to lay down.
Owner Verachart Murphy says he still hasn't been served. One other Yuma store named in the lawsuit told me the same thing.
Look, if we were doing something illegal, we wouldn't be talking right now. This store would be shut down.
Murphy insists his store works with the ATF to try and help with enforcement.
We talk with them 3 to 5 times a week and assist in that process.
When it comes to straw sales, Murphy says they do have safeguards in place, but people can and do purchase multiple guns.
If you buy too many guns, we transmit this information to ATF, and it is on them whether or not they want to follow up on it.
We did try to reach out to the other 3 stores named in the suit, all of them in Tucson, but none were available for comment. As for Ammo AZ, Murphy says they will be fighting back.
I want to bite back. We're going to sue the government back for defamation and all the U.S.-based attorneys that are involved.
With all respect to our counterparts, we'll see you in court.
In Phoenix, Ashley Holden, ABC 15, Arizona.
A U.S. federal judge tells Mexico to go kick rocks. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms LLC. P.A.N. Firearms for NRA certification, multifaceted gun training, also offering aerial photography and drone services. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And let's talk about this. Now, the country of Mexico filed suit against gun manufacturers here in the U.S., claiming that they are responsible for the increasing crime in Mexico. Not the lawlessness, not the cartels basically running rampant in the street. No, it's U.S. gun manufacturers are causing the increase in violence in their country. And immediately you I know some of you just use in your mind. I know you're thinking it like, yeah, shouldn't they be suing a certain administration for what they did? Because I think that's more of a direct cause than a gun manufacturer making products here in the U.S. But let's look at this here from, this is guns.com, and titled, Court Boots Mexico's Lawsuit Against American Gun Companies. Okay, and a lawsuit against a series of American firearms makers brought by Mexican authorities was soundly rejected by a U.S. federal court last week. The $10 billion suit, supported by no less than a dozen anti-gun states, such as Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Illinois. Isn't it amazing how they turn on their own? Ugh. Sought to put some of the biggest names in the American gun industry, including Barrett, Beretta, Century Arms, Colt, Glock, Ruger, and Smith & Wesson, on the hook for narco-cartel violence that has plagued Mexico since 2006. However, a judge in Massachusetts, federal court wasn't buying it. Now, it's interesting how, and I'm just going to break from that, it's interesting how they're blaming these gun manufacturers. Yet, all the videos that I've seen of when they bust a drug cartel in Mexico, when you see some of the weapons, you're sitting there going, yeah, you can't really buy, you can't really buy that in the US. I mean, let's remember a few of them where I saw M60s and M16s with grenade launchers on them. I'm like, yeah, you can buy that, but why would you spend that much money when you can go right into South America, further south, and pick up this stuff a lot cheaper? A fully automatic M60 is a lot of money if you're buying it legally. But at the crux of Mexican authorities' argument was an attempt to recover a wild dollar amount in damages for allegedly unfair trade practices of American corporations. For example, the suit contended Smith & Wesson, by placing M&P on their ads, which signifies military and police, somehow wanted to attract persons and that intended to use such products to battle against the military. Woo! That's some mental gymnastics right there. Wow. A premise that the court rejected. Quote, the public is fully aware that the police and military use firearms, said U.S. District Judge F. Dennis Saylor in his 44-page opinion. An image depicting an officer's lawful use of a firearm does not suggest to the reasonable consumer that they should engage in criminal combat-like conduct, and the court is unwilling to follow that the advertising of lawful conduct to sell a lawful product without more constitutes an unfair act. Now, isn't it interesting? Because, we know that we have several lawsuits against gun manufacturers right now by U.S. citizens. Uvalde, Highland Park, and more historically to Sandy Hook. Too bad they didn't have a judge with this much common sense, because they sued under the same premise that these gun manufacturers were advertising their products in a unlawful manner, enticing these people to go buy these weapons and commit these crimes. But this judge apparently seems to have more sense. Or is it the fact that it's another country doing this and there's no real backlash against this judge for doing this? Because if judges in the U.S. did this to, like, say, the families of Sandy Hook, I'm pretty sure they'd be screaming to have the guy removed from the bench. But Saylor, who holds a degree from Harvard Law, was appointed to the bench by President Bush in 2004 and is chief judge of the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts. The trade group for the American gun industry told Guns.com previously that the lawsuit was intended to scapegoat law-abiding businesses rather than use their scant resources to bring cartels to justice, because the Mexican government is terrified of the cartels. These guys are better armed than they are. And from what I understand, a lot of the enforcement arm of the cartel are ex-military. So that pretty much brings that to light. But a much tougher fight. Quote, Mexico's criminal activity is a direct result of the illicit drug trade, human trafficking, and organized crime cartels that plague Mexico's citizens, said Lawrence G. Keene, the National Shooting Sports Foundation Senior Vice President and General Counsel on the lawsuit. It is these cartels that criminally misuse firearms illegally imported into Mexico or stolen from the Mexican military and law enforcement. So basically, this judge told Mexico, no, we're not buying that, and they ended their lawsuit against the U.S., or not technically against the U.S. government, but against the gun manufacturers. And my thought in closing is, if Mexico really has a problem with how guns got into their country, maybe they should sue that certain administration, because it was their direct action that led to a lot of these guns getting there in the first place. And do I have to mention that if you remember the so-called mass shooting at the recruiting station, I believe it was in Tennessee, the weapon that was used was one of the firearms that was lost under that administration's program. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I will see you on the next one. Peace.